I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
Look, we've known this for years, right? Trump is mentally unwell. He's a malignant, narcissistic sociopath who now wants to force Canada to be the 51st state.
Everybody's laughing at America.
I thought it was a joke at first. I mean, he says crazy shit all the time, right?
$8 million for making mice transgender.
For the record, transgenic mice means altering the DNA of mice in a lab experiment, not putting them on RuPaul's Drag Race. But this one, making Canada a state by force, what does that even mean? And will he do it after he takes back the Panama Canal, Greenland, and Mexico? Is it manifest destiny or manifest insanity? In Canada, there are 41 million people up there, and maybe 3 or 4 want to be a part of this. And Canadians aren't ready to bend over and let this pustulant skin tag rule their lives.
Since being elected as the 47th president of the United States, Donald Trump has said that it would be a, quote, great idea if Canada were to become the 51st state. Yeah, right. But is that even possible? There are 3 possible scenarios. If the U.S. Senate and House of Representatives agree, and if Canada's provinces and federal government agree. No way. Second scenario, the U.S. buys Canada like they did Alaska. And Trump has even floated the idea of buying Greenland. But newsflash, we are not for sale. And third, an invasion. The U.S. could attempt to take Canada over by force. Not only highly unlikely, but something that could have catastrophic consequences.
But Trump, bathed in the warm insanity floating in his declining mental state, is pushing forward.
No, I'm not. Look, we've been ripped off for years, and we're not going to be ripped off anymore. No, I'm not going to bend at all on aluminum or steel or cars. We're not going to bend. We've been ripped off as a country for many, many years. We've been subjected to costs that we shouldn't be subjected to. In the case of Canada, we're spending $200 billion a year to subsidize Canada.
Okay, that's a lie. What we are doing is buying steel and aluminum from them for less because U.S. companies charge more, not because of labor costs, but because they can. That's not a subsidy.
I love Canada. I love the people of Canada. I have many friends in Canada. The great one, Wayne Gretzky, the great. Hey, how good is Wayne Gretzky? He's the great one. But we have, I know many people from Canada that are good friends of mine.
Okay, one more time. Canada has 41 million people, and Trump can only name the most famous athlete. And here's where the crazy part starts.
But, you know, the United States can't subsidize a country for $200 billion a year. We don't need their cars. We don't need their energy. We don't need their lumber. We don't need anything that they give. We do it because we want to be helpful. But it comes a point when you just can't do that. You have to run your own country. And to be honest with you, Canada only works as a state. It doesn't. We don't need anything they have. As a state, it would be one of the great states anyway. This would be the most incredible country visually. If you look at a map, they drew an artificial line right through it between Canada and the U.S. Just a straight artificial line. Somebody did it a long time ago, many, many decades ago. And
okay, if we don't need Canadian stuff, why are you bitching, Tiny Fingers? Because you're lying. The total amount we import from Canada and Mexico is close to $1 trillion. And the reason we do is basic economics. They can make it cheaper. And Trump implying that there's an artificial line between the U.S. and Canada, well, Mexico might want to make that case. When my great-grandfather was born, California, New Mexico, Arizona, and Texas belonged to Mexico. But the idea that we can just force Canada into being a state, it ain't going to happen for a lot of reasons. The first and foremost being the only crazy person saying this is Donnie Wacko.
Makes no sense. It's so perfect as a great and cherished state. Keeping O Canada, the national anthem. I love it. I think it's great. Keep it. But it'll be for the state, one of our greatest states. Maybe our greatest state. But why should we subsidize another country for $200 billion? It costs us $200 billion a year. And again, we don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We have more than they do. We don't need anything. We don't need their cars. I'd much rather make the cars here. And There's not a thing that we need.
Okay, Trump's lies are his daily verbal bowel movements. So here are the real numbers. The U.S. imported 33 terawatt hours of electricity from Canada back in 2023, which is a significant portion of the total electricity imported. Crude oil, Canada supplied approximately 60% of the crude oil imported by the U.S. in 2023 as well. Natural gas, Canada supplied nearly 100% of the natural gas imported by the U.S. in 2023. Bottom line, Canada is the largest source of U.S. energy imports and the second largest destination for U.S. energy exports behind only Mexico. Oh yeah, and then there's this.
In Trump's defense, he did explain today why we're going after Canada.
I mean, I look at some of the deals made, I say, who the hell made these deals are so bad?
So bad. The trade deals with Canada, they're so bad. He's just looking and saying, who made these? I give you the culprit of the terrible deal with Canada.
This morning, President Trump signed a new trade deal to replace NAFTA with the leaders of Mexico and Canada.
The best trade deal they say ever made.
No! A deal done by Trump's greatest nemesis, Trump.
The fact that we're talking about this sober and not after bong hits, IPAs, and a couple pieces of pizza tells you how insane this whole thing is and how the lack of anyone around him to stand up and say out loud what everyone is thinking.
What the f*** is wrong with you?
Now, there'll be a little disruption, but it won't be very long. But they need us. We really don't need them. And we have to do this. I'm sorry. We have to do this, yes.
Everyone around him can see it, and the only debate is what is his craziest idea? Taking the Panama Canal, Greenland, invading Mexico, or forcing Canada to be the next state?
Keeping O Canada, the national anthem. I love it. I think it's great.
Can you even believe we're talking about this? And here's how concerned the real world is that Trump has enough support to do this. Word enough that we passed a bill to stop it.
Trump said today that there's a simple way to make a trade war go away.
Canada should honestly become our 51st state.
Okay, there's a new bill in Congress that is hoping to stop Trump from forcibly annexing the countries he has his sights on. Congressman Seth Magaziner put forward the No Invading Allies Act, which aims to ban funding for the armed forces to engage in operations to invade or seize territory from Canada, the Republic of Panama, or the self-governing territory of Greenland without congressional approval. I have to ask you about your bill. I have to start there, and it feels almost surreal to ask you about the No Invading Allies Act, a piece of legislation to protect Greenland, Panama, and Canada from the United States. Why did you feel the need to do this?
Well, because President Trump has erratically and irresponsibly been talking about seizing territory from allied nations.
Many of you may be asking, how did this happen here in the U.S.? How did we elect this thing whose declining mental acuity has forged these cruel, racist, homophobic, and sexist taunts at our own country and the world? Well, you've seen the people who voted for him.
I don't care if he is in a jail cell. I am one of those people that will vote for him no matter what. Because
how do you feel about the concept of law and order in general?
I agree with law and order. I am 100%.
Do you feel that if he's convicted, though, that wouldn't change your mind?
He won't be convicted.
But if he was.
But he won't.
But if he was.
He won't.
If I were Canadian, there is one thing, one chant I might steal from MAGA and spread across Canada. And what is that?
Damn right.
Crazy! Disgusting.
Bloated and fat and disgusting.
Oh, I like that.
You're a nasty person.
I'm as mad as hell.
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
Tick-tock.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.